Two kids lost their ball in the yard next door. The lady refused to give it back after they decapitated her lawn gnome, throwing it in a box that was filled with more lost toys. To keep entertained, the kids brought out a bow and arrow to shoot at some toys. When their dad came out and distracted them, the older one shot it right at mean Marge. Rescue team showed up as Carlos was trying to calm down Miss Mooney.
Calm down until you arrest those hooligans. They did this on purpose. Officer, do your duty.
There was no blood, and aside from the arrow in her neck, she seemed fine.
This is the last thing your demon spawn ever send over that fence. I'm gonna sue you at a house and a home.
Nance?
BP is rock solid.
So's her breathing, Cap.
How is that possible?
Tommy felt her neck and foot a mass, which kept the arrow from hitting her carotid.
A tumor? As in a cancer tumor?
She thought she was going to be just fine as long as she got it treated. The boys shot the arrow right at the problem, and they saved her life.
So, the cancer just saved my life?
I think those boys saved your life by pointing an arrow right at the problem.
Just before she was taken away in the ambulance, she told Carlos about the box in her backyard, and to make sure the boys and the other kids in the neighborhood get back what belonged to them, she then offered them to come over the next time one of their balls was thrown into the yard for some drinks. The man just dived into the water. A shark-like creature swam over. Although the man was in an iron cage, not only did he almost die, but also the dive instructor also suffered. Just now a man wanted to dive and get up close to a shark. A charter was specially booked for this purpose. The manager thoughtfully threw fresh meat into the water. This would attract the sharks. The manager told him to press the button to inflate in case of emergency. The vest would take it out of the water. It was safe inside the cage. The dive instructor would always be with him, even though the manager repeatedly told him. Never thought that an accident could happen. As the rope was slowly loosened, the cage also sank into the water. A sense of depression suddenly swept through the man. The cage just dropped 20 feet. The man was immediately frightened by the surrounding environment. The strange sounds coming from underwater made him extremely nervous. He always felt like something was slowly approaching, but just then a shark-like creature suddenly swam over. The man was immediately panicked. Regardless of the instructor's dissuasion, he was struggling wildly, trying to open the iron door and escape. But at this moment, the cage hook suddenly fell off. It fell rapidly underwater. Soon the cage sank to the bottom of the sea. The sudden accident frightened the man. Regardless of the instructor's comfort, just punched him, then pressed the button of the inflatable vest and left the instructor behind. He opened the iron door and escaped. The manager on the other side also realized something was wrong. He wanted to go into the water to rescue, suddenly saw the man floating up. He quickly called 911. Firefighters arrived. Because the man floated up too fast, severe damage to the lungs due to air pressure, firefighter examined and found that the man's eye blood vessels and eardrums were ruptured. Although the man was quickly awakened, a firefighter with diving experience was convinced that the man suffered from decompression sickness. Couldn't make it to the hospital at all. Rescue must be carried out on the spot. Firefighters brought him into a fresh fish freezer, then injected gas into it, simulated the air pressure underwater as much as possible. Then minutes later the man's physical index finally returned to normal, then lowered the air pressure and let the man slowly adapt. The man was now out of danger. It turned out that the man suffered from phobia, so wanted to use immersion therapy to treat it. Never thought that fear could not be overcome, but he almost lost his life. Have they forgotten the dive instructor who sank to the bottom of the sea? A tornado was coming. The father hurriedly took the children and hid in the bathtub, but his daughter said the cat was still outside, and insisted on asking her father to save it too. The man had no choice but to agree. As a result, when he was looking for the cat everywhere, the tornado swept over in an instant. Immediately afterwards, the entire house was shattered into pieces by the strong wind. When the firefighters arrived the next day, the surrounding houses had been completely destroyed. At this time, the man was rummaging through the ruins. After seeing the firefighters coming, the man immediately came forward and asked the firefighters to save his children. One firefighter wanted to check the man's body, but he was pushed away by the man.
Put your hands on me, sir. My kids are in there. I'm not going anywhere.
It's okay. I'd have done the same thing. I'm a father too.
Then asked about the situation at the scene. The man said his two children hid in bathtub while he went to look for the cat, but when the cat was rescued, the house collapsed. The children were buried inside. The man believed his children were still alive. The current house was very unstable. Before finding any sign of life, the captain dared not send people in rashly, so he asked his team to tie acoustic detector to the beam of the house. As long as the children spoke, the instrument would display sound waves. The man calmed down after hearing this. Then when everything was ready, the captain asked the man to call his children.
Nico, Ada, can you hear me?
But the instrument didn't respond at all. The man was about to collapse at this time, but he still suppressed the grief and shouted again. Fortunately, they succeeded this time. The instrument finally responded.
Did you hear that?
That's Ada. That's my daughter.
The captain immediately launched a rescue operation. Soon they opened a small opening in the direction of the sound, but a secondary collapse might occur inside at any time. The captain also understood the danger of this rescue, but he still put on his helmet without hesitation, then crawled into the rubble to look for the children. The teammates outside also watched nervously through the surveillance system. Under the man's instructions, the captain broke open the bathroom door, found the children hiding under the bathtub. After seeing the children safe and sound, the man bursted into tears of joy, but when the captain was about to take them out, the house suddenly collapsed for a second time. and the surveillance also lost its signal. The teammates quickly shouted the captain's name, but there was no response from the intercom. Just when they thought something happened to the captain, finally the captain's voice came over the intercom. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Soon the two children were rescued. Upon seeing this, the man rushed over immediately, holding them tightly in his arms. But when he was about to express his gratitude to the captain, the man suddenly fell down and fainted. One firefighter rushed forward to check. When she lifted the man's clothes, there were blunt force injuries to his abdomen. Spleen and kidneys inside were ruptured, and his pupils were blown. The team quickly performed CPR on him. His children on the side also looked nervously.
He's gone. He bled out internally.
Daddy?
Move them back.
The team quickly took the children and left here.
Why didn't he say something?
He wanted to save his kids.
If he'd have spoken up, maybe we could have saved him too.
A woman was first shown stealing packages from various houses. She later returned to her vehicle and opened packages, expressing disgust at what was inside. Then she headed to another house to steal yet another package, only to suddenly fall and injure herself. She called 911 stating that she may have broken her hip.
Nothing was breakable in your package.
I don't know, I'm sure it's fine.
Not that you couldn't return it, but the hassle.
Just get me to the hospital.
After the firefighters arrived, the woman continuously asked why she wasn't at the hospital yet, as she was hoping to avoid being caught committing her criminal acts. At that moment, a cop arrived and recognized the Porch pirate. The woman was about to deny the claims before eventually confessing. She said she just stole the packages but didn't keep what's inside. The woman was taken away in an ambulance and later arrested.